You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
This is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
Not an asthma podcast.
No?
I've been told people...
I've already, changed all of our branding.
Oh, no. I've been told people don't like the way I say asthma.
Some people prefer ASMR, but they're just,
But they're wrong.
Christine Cherry.
It's asthma.
Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
The hell does that mean?
Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response of Rassilon. All right, let's start the show.
Okay.
Today, we're going to be talking about the 6th and final serial of the 22nd season of Doctor Who. The 6th and final serial of the 6th Doctor's first full season, Revelation of the Daleks, which consists of 2 episodes that aired from March 23rd, 1985 to March 30th, 1985. Joe Facts! And I'd like to give a special shout out to Matthew Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden! You can check him out at MatthewGolden.net. So, how you doing?
Oh, we got a bullshit for a while?
The bullshit section of the podcast. Which is completely different than the rest of the podcast.
How we're very, very serious and on topic the rest of the time.
Yes.
I'm fine. I don't know.
Anything new been going on in your life, huh?
No.
Anything exciting?
No.
Anything coming up that you're excited about?
No.
No? We're going to a wedding!
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm excited about the wedding.
We're going to a wedding and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be our first real vacation in 2 years.
And we're going to go to a museum of miniature things.
A museum of miniature things. We should probably take pictures while we're there, for the express purpose of sharing it on the Instagram so that people can see how ridiculous I am. Because I will be very excited.
It's going to be really ridiculous.
We finished Doom Patrol.
Yes, and there's tiny things in that.
It's not just that there's tiny things. It's literally somebody who's big and they're tiny cooking tiny food for their tiny friends. It overwhelms me.
And the tiny food, it's still a little too big.
It's still slightly, the scale is off. You're right. It's like they're eating giant pancakes.
Even though they're tiny pancakes.
Even though the pancakes are actually so small.
Toni is crying. Toni is weeping right now.
Okay, what about you?
There is a Doctor Who connection to Doom Patrol in that Rachel Talalay directed a few episodes.
Was it the episode with the tiny food and the tiny people?
No, I don't think so.
No.
The only one I know for certain that she directed was Puppet Patrol, the one with the Nazi, what gives people powers. But it's good. It's a good show. Watch Doom Patrol. It's fun. It's fun and sad and full of weirdness.
Now that we've sponsored the television show Doom Patrol, you have
You've been there. You've been to the Doom Patrol.
That's true. The mansion that they all live in is actually Briarcliff. It's on the campus of Emory University, and we covered it in the NC World.
They film Doom Patrol there. They filmed Stranger Things there.
All right, I've had enough bullshit. Yeah. Let's talk about Doctor Who.
Okay. Revelation of the Daleks, Episode 1, which I have titled Over the Top. So we start off with the TARDIS landing on a planet called Necros. They land in the snow. They did not expect snow when they were filming.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, no.
Yep. Well, where it starts off, Perry goes to a small river, and they had difficulty finding it because it's just a sea of white. We can't find it. But they eventually found this river or whatever. Anyway, Perry steps out in a blue, jacket. She's got a blue jacket on and a blue little hat.
It's nice. It's a good look.
It's a good look. And she complains all the way to the river. I thought she was going to fall in. I thought it'd been hilarious if she just complains the whole way there and then falls in. But she just throws her food in it a piece of bread or something. And the doctor comes out, and he is also wearing blue.
The most magnificent blue cape I've ever seen.
It's got stupid yellow question marks on the collar.
All the way down the collar.
These blue outfits cover two purposes. One, it's like a death planet, basically.
A funeral home planet.
Yeah, and they're coming to see a guy who we'll learn his name is Professor Stingos. But the blue is a color of mourning, so that's one reason. And the second reason is because Eric Sayward hated Colin Baker's outfit and wanted to cover it up. So that's the entire reason. And I think that's cool because I think this outfit looks great. But also, the doctor is a bit gross because Perry complains about this outfit. Then the doctor just says she eats too much.
Oh my god, it's awful.
This is the theme of this episode is a lot of fat phobia, fat
coming
shaming.
Specifically from the doctor.
Not just the doctor, but primarily the doctor.
Yeah.
And then he's also like, plus you have to wear this outfit because it's the color of mourning on this planet. And also, women can't show their legs, which is, again, gross.
It's a lot to open here.
Though, I mean, he's like, we gotta follow the customs or whatever, because it's better to follow the customs, which I guess is fine. I don't know. Is that fine? Even though it's just all made up by a gross man?
Because I think the concept is fine. Like, when I went to the Vatican,
You wore a Pope hat?
Yeah. I think I had, like, a tank top situation, and it's like, you can't go in with, like, bare shoulders, because it'll make God sad.
You'll tempt all the priests.
Yeah. So I had to wear, like, a paper thing.
Did you get to keep it?
No.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, I'd just go in tank tops all the time and just get free Vatican cloth stuff. You can sell it on eBay, I'm sure. Get your own Vatican modesty cloth.
Modesty cloth. I mean, here's the thing. These two things combined and the way that they're said right at the top suck.
Yeah. It seems
like it sets a tone for like, this whole serial is going to be low-key sexist.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And sometimes not even low-key. And like, sometimes they do it on purpose to like make a point. And then sometimes they do it and it's just like there. You know? Like there's a character who is very gross and sexist later, but he's intended to be. You know what I mean?
But his behavior isn't that different from the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's the bad guy. While they're bickering, as they do, a hand pops up out of the water and grabs the food.
Which she reacts upset to this. Like, that was my lunch.
Right?
Like she hadn't already thrown it into the water.
Was she gonna go get it back? I don't understand that line at all. They don't see that it's a hand. They just see that something splashed and the food's gone. Well, the doctor starts calling it like it could be this creature, and Perry gets worried about it because what if they're dangerous? And the doctor does not dissuade her of that notion very well. He's like, they're usually not dangerous. He's like teasing her a bit, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Then we cut to inside this place where this funeral home, basically. Though, to be fair, they're not technically dealing with dead people. They put people into cryostasis, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
They call it, like, permanent internment or something.
Yeah, I actually like the scene where the doctor's, like, just sort of, like, lists multiple things of what this thing could be called until, like, I think he goes through 5 before the guy finally says that. And he's like, yeah sure, fine.
But that won't happen until episode 2, because episode 1, the Doctor and Perry don't really interact with
They don't
anyone.
Get there yet.
This is also the last serial to have stuff filmed on film.
Sad.
Their entire scenes in this first episode are on film, and they do not interact with any of the rest of the characters that are on video. I think Eric Sayward just didn't want to write the Doctor. But yes, we meet the head of, I don't know, funeral guy, Joe Bell, who thinks he's the bee's knees. He's very gross to his assistant, Tossum Becker, or Tossum Beaker, I think, probably. He has a red wig. It's very obviously a wig. He adjusts it multiple times in mirrors. He comes back to Doctor Who in New Who. He's in Voyage of the Damned, the Titanic episode.
Oh.
His name's Mr. Pepper, I think. I don't remember that character.
Don't remember that at all, but neat.
Him and this guy named Takas, who is sort of like, he's like right underneath Joe Bell, kind of. And maybe head of security. I don't know. They all wear the same uniforms, and it's hard to tell them like what their jobs are apart.
What they're doing there, yeah.
You know, they all just wear these blue scrubs.
Oh, blue is the color of mourning.
And there was a bit I completely missed where like later, like they have these hoods on, like these caps on, and there's like colored stripes on them, but it also like goes onto their foreheads, the paint, like the stripes do. And I thought that was just like a creature design almost, but no, that's like also part of the
it's the same people.
It's the ceremonial thing going on. I don't know. There's a lot that happens in this serial.
Oh god, yeah.
But they are working on a mummy, basically. It looks like a big Egyptian casket.
Is this the president's
wife? That they continually keep saying, like, we gotta intern her fast or she's gonna, like, start rotting. There's like even a line about, like, it's a good thing it's a lead-lined case because she's starting to go off a bit. They're not dead yet, but if we don't hurry up, they will be. And they'll probably, it's not saving anybody's life, really. They're, like, very kind of open about that, even though, like, publicly, they wouldn't say that.
I mean, there's something that happens when, like, you work at a funeral home or, you know, you work around death where you kind of, like, don't have the same boundaries around it that people who don't do. And, like, they're definitely doing that here in a way that is like, yeah, that seems true.
It's like the way you are with customers and the way you are with your fellow employees.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 characters here, actually 4 in this scene. You have JoBel and Tassenbecker. JoBel's the gross guy. Tassenbecker clearly has a crush on JoBel.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think she just has a crush.
You think they used to fuck?
I think they used to fuck.
Yeah, actually, I think he said he played it that way. That they used to be in a relation. Or you had a fling or something.
I think they had a fling. And she was like, we're in a relationship now. And he was like, I don't know how to be a person.
Yeah. And he clearly tries to fuck everyone. So you got this double act of JoBel and Tassenbecker. This thing is full of double acts.
Not only is this thing full of double acts, there is literally a line in the script where one character from one double act
talking to his half of the double act.
His half of the double act is like, they could be a double act.
About another double act. Oh my goodness. There's so many pairs. So you got JoBel and Tassenbecker, then you got Takis and Lilt. So they're the 2 like main Undertaker sort of dudes. They were specifically in the script described as Laurel and Hardy characters. So it's like a bigger guy and a sort of smaller, thinner guy. Takis always goes around holding this plant. There is a line they cut out where he specifically says that he likes dealing with these plants. Because it becomes a thing way late in the game.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's always like holding them and giving them to people and putting them in his own pocket.
They at some point verbally established that and then cut it out. So he wasn't just having plants all the time.
I think the reason they cut it out is because it was in a scene with Tassenbecker that Eric Saber didn't like. Eric Saber didn't like the actress playing Tassenbecker. He thought she didn't give a good performance. But also I think Eric Saber's kind of a dick and a misogynist. So there's that. Keep that in mind.
Fair enough.
So those are our first 2, and they go to take care of stuff. And then we see our third double act, Natasha and Grigory, who are also dressed in the blue stuff. But they're doing that because they're undercover to find a body. They're trying to find Professor Stingos as well as the doctor because it's her dad. And Grigory is this doctor who just complains the whole time and is very morbid.
The whole time. And, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Because I asked you to. Okay.
And then he just takes a swig of alcohol. Like, he's got, like, a flask on him that he drinks from. Like, oh, can't believe I'm doing this.
Something other than just alcohol. Because there's, like,
the torture scene?
Yeah, there's, like, the torture scene where he takes the alcohol and, like, shoves it down his throat. And it's like, why?
You can take if you took a swig of whiskey, it's different than, like, taking a whole flask full of whiskey.
That's a good point. I'm not a big liquor person, so.
Me either. I should start. Speaking of that weed, though, it's a little flower. It's like a purple flower.
I thought we were talking about liquor.
Yeah, well, but like earlier we were talking about the flower.
Oh, okay.
The purple flower. It's a purple flower. The doctor and Perry are wandering around, and they also come across some. Perry's very interested in it because she is indeed a botanist.
She's a botanist. I think I owe someone money.
Like she specifically said she's going to take it back to school.
I think I specifically said, I think I might have bet actual money that was never going to come up again.
I don't remember what you bet, but everybody go back and listen and tell us what Toni owes you personally. But the doctor says, they're like very edible and they're basically like
soy plants.
Yeah, this plant is equivalents of soybeans. And he's like, I don't know why they're not like doing
using
anything with them.
Food.
They're just kind of hanging out here. And then they are confronted by a melty boy.
Yep.
This guy pokes his head out from behind a tree and goes, ah! And he's just, all his flesh is melting off and he's real gross looking. And he comes up to him and he's like, ah! And
so then the doctor hypnotizes him?
Tries to. It does not work. He does the thing, and that just like pisses him off more. And then he fights the doctor. And then they do a little roll in the snow that actually looked kind of fun.
It looked delightful.
And Perry gets some sort of it looked like she grabbed a crowbar. I'm assuming it's a branch or
off
something.
Off the ground? Yeah, I guess it had to have been a branch.
And she just like smashes this melty boy.
And murders him.
Yeah, smashes him over the head. Well, not right away. It's not like she just bashed his brains in and like it's not gross or nothing. She just gives him a light head injury.
I mean, he does die from being hit on the head. I would not call that a light head injury.
True, but he does have a whole like death scene that we'll get to in a minute. As she's hitting him though, we pull back and see this on a monitor.
I can't.
And then we just see a fucking 60s hippie watching this and commenting on it. Like, hey guys, there's this new lady in town. Maybe she's coming for you.
My favorite thing about this character, besides how bonkers it is, first they just throw it on you. Then they continue to just throw it on you without any context.
I mean, if you were paying super close attention, you might be able to figure it out. But I wasn't.
We get this guy multiple times before we get an explanation of what the fuck he is.
Yeah, a clear explanation. They do hint at it a lot. By one point, it's like very clearly he's talking to the people there.
The people who are frozen.
Frozen, because he's like reading off letters from like their loved ones or whatever.
But he's doing it in the like pukey radio voice.
Radio voice.
Your loved ones miss you.
And like, he swaps personas a lot. Like, he starts off as this hippie, and then he becomes like Elvis.
He goes through decades.
Yeah, he's Elvis with like the leather. Well, that's like going backwards, isn't it? Like, hippies are 60s.
Elvis is 70s, 50s, so I don't.
It's actually playing over like, when he's being Elvis, there is a Elvis song playing in the background.
I think it does go backwards, because I think like the last time we see him is in like the 20s.
Yeah, he's in that
playing like swing music.
10th Doctor looking suit.
Yeah.
But this character is played by Alexei, I think it's Alexei Sale is how you pronounce his name. I actually knew this guy before we started watching. He's on a show I really like called The Young Ones. He's my least favorite part of the show. I don't know. I didn't find him funny, but he's good in this. He's good in this serial. I actually really like the DJ. He doesn't have a name. He's just the DJ.
The DJ.
Just the DJ.
I'm going to need you to do the rest of the podcast like that.
You want me to do the rest of the podcast like this?
I don't know.
I can do it for you, baby.
I'm having regrets.
That's not his real voice, though. We hear his real voice later. And then we pull back from this guy and see him on a monitor that is being watched by a Dalek. And Davros' head in a jar. He's like in a basically like a TARDIS-looking console.
Yeah, a little bit.
And his head just spins around, and that's all he's got. He doesn't have arms or legs or nothing. He's just a head in a glass tube that spins around.
Sometimes it's like that.
He hates this show of the hippie. So they changed the channel to the doctor, and he's like, oh, good, the doctor's here.
He's fallen into my trap. Or at least will by the end of this episode.
What a stupid-ass trap it is. Grigory and Natasha are wandering around. They both have guns. One's like bullets and one's lasers.
I do love that. Because why?
Honestly, that makes more sense to me. Like, they have different guns. It happens. Like, when you're watching a movie, like it's got a shootout in it. Not everybody's got the same gun.
Right? Some people just can't afford lasers.
You know, some people have got the handguns, and then other people have, like foot guns. I don't know anything about guns.
Your parents own guns.
They got those kinds that only shoot 6 of them. And then they got those ones that shoot many of them.
Yeah.
And have the chain. And they go, you know? Just different guns.
I've never heard of any that shoot lasers.
Oh, you haven't? I have. You never played laser tag?
I guess that
You
counts.
just fucking lied on a podcast. You're going to jail.
We're 2 weeks past Vax. We could go play laser tag. Do you want to... Can we stop doing this podcast right now and go play laser tag?
Yeah, bye! Final thoughts is goodbye! But they kill a guard. Overly shoot the fuck out of him. Because he's got like a machine gun, and she shoots him a bunch of time with laser. It's one guard! Davros picks up on it because, like, they're not quiet.
Bullets are loud.
Davros is like, I want them caught! Then we get Melty's death scene. The Melty boy.
Oh god, that was so long ago. Right.
He's like, hey, Perry, thanks for killing me. I really appreciate it. I felt like absolute garbage. I couldn't go on looking like this. It's bad. And as we all know on Doctor Who, you can't look weird and live a
Not
happy
without
life.
it being terribly tragic.
So thanks for that. I'm going to die now. Oh, before you go, I was experimented on by the Great Healer. And the doctor's like, who the fuck is the Great Healer? And he's like, I'm dead now. And then he's dead. And Perry is traumatized.
Yeah, Perry gets a scene just to be like, oh my God, I killed him.
And he thanked me. Why did he have to be so nice about it? And the doctor's like, you had to do what you had to do. Pats him on the back, and then they leave. Hippie comments on the intruders and says he's gonna read some dedications. And that's when he reads a note.
The letters.
He pulls out a whole bunch too, just a bunch of papers, and he's throwing them around. He reads a letter from someone's wife. She's still looking for a cure for you. And then he mutes his mic, and he's like, they found a cure for that ages ago. And she's gotten a bunch of money for some research thing. And he's like, I wonder what she's really doing with that money. And then he gets back on, and he's like, she loves you. Meanwhile, Tassenbeaker yells at Takis and Lilt to find the intruders.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
I would absolutely murder you right this second for some Takis chips. Because I have seen it so many times. I mean, it's spelled the exact same way. And now I'm just need some chips. Some chili lime.
I'll get you some after this podcast if you're still jonesing.
All right.
Because I love you. There's no cure for that, baby. There is a cure for your hunger, and it's Takis. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Never.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the chips are Takis.
Takis.
But I could be wrong.
No, you see, what you're saying is actually, you're confused. Actually, what that is when the silent film stopped, that's when the talkies took over. Come back to me.
No.
I think the first one was the jazz singer, right? That was the first talkies.
Still would murder you for a bag of chips.
Well, maybe you'll get your chance. But Tassenbeaker is yelling at Takis and Lilt because I think they're supposed to be in charge of security or something. And she's like, find them. And she's very angry. And this turns on Davros, who is watching on his monitors. And he's like, bring her to me. Takis is concerned about the Daleks because the Dalek passes them in the hallway and they show their ID. So they're aware of the Daleks. At this point, I wasn't sure, but they definitely are. But he is there's so many Daleks here. I'm concerned. And he's talking about this to Lilt. And this also concerns Davros, who is watching it because Davros is watching everything. But he is interrupted in his concern over this potential uprising by getting a call from Kara, who just pops up. And I'm like, another fucking character?
We can't have more of these. Okay, this is the double act that I really like.
Yeah, this is the other double act. Kara and Vogel.
Kara has the kind of energy I strive to have every day.
Yeah, she's got some great eye makeup. She's been on Doctor Who before in a very famous scene. Do you remember that scene in City of Death where the TARDIS disappears in an art museum or appears in an art museum? I don't remember which. And John Cleese is there. John Cleese and another woman, and they're commenting on how the TARDIS is art.
Yes.
That's her.
Oh.
She's the one that's not John Cleese.
Neat.
Eleanor Braun, I think is her name. She's great. I love her in this. Her and Vogel, they're both very good. Vogel is her secretary, and they got some real vibes going on. He's clearly in love with her, right?
No, I think they're gay besties.
Oh, well, the actor said he was playing it like they were in love.
Oh.
But I could see that, too. They're both maniacal villains, eventually, not right away. But they call Davros, or they call him the Great Healer, so he's the Great Healer. And he's just like, I need more money, give me more money. He's getting angry, but trying to control it because he's not supposed to be full-on Davros. But she accidentally calls him Davros at one point, and he's like, don't call me that on an open line. Hiding out here. Jesus. And she says, accept my apologies. And he's like, I'd rather accept your money. And then they have the most awkward, we're having fun here. Oh, you're so funny, Davros. And then they hang up. And then when he hangs up, she's told that Orsini has arrived. And I'm like, no more characters.
Stop introducing new characters. It's too much.
There's a whole scene of Joel being a dick to Toss and Beaker because they're like looking at the guard that was overly shot up. And he's like, I don't have time to work on this. I got to work on the president's wife. And then she's like, I'll work on it. I've been studying under you. And he's like, yeah, you've been a little too close to me if you ask me. And also you're gross. And then he's like, but yeah, you can work on it. But first you need to go see the great healer. He wants to see you. Though I don't know why I've got to be the messenger.
When this character talks about the great healer, he's constantly looking at the security cameras.
He knows, yeah.
Yeah, he is talking to Davros.
Yeah, it's good. Because, there's a bit later where he's, like, talking to somebody, and he's like, look, we can't just talk openly about this. And then, like, looks at the security camera. So, I think he might be the only one who knows. I don't know. Meanwhile, Natasha and Grigory have found where her father is supposed to be, but he's not there. It's a mannequin. We don't actually see the mannequin, but they say it's a mannequin. I guess they couldn't afford a mannequin. They get caught looking at this lack of a body, and they run off and are chased by the Undertakers, Takis and Lilt. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Perry are also in this. They're outside of like a walled city, and they've been looking for a door, and they can't find one. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to go over the top. That's why I called this episode Over the Top.
Okay.
I love going over the top. Toni, do you like going over the top?
No.
You don't?
No.
Can you go over the top? Sorry. I fucked that up. Hold on. Can you go over the top? For me? Just a little? Just a little. Just a little bit over the top.
I cannot. I'm physically incapable.
Can you go under the top? Or would that be under the bottom?
No.
Okay, moving on. So they're going to have to go over the top of the wall. Sorry. Over the top of the wall. And then they both call each other fat. Because he, like, picks her up and he complains about how heavy she is. And she's like, fuck you. You're also fat. It's gross.
It's gross. We don't enjoy watching it.
And then a very intensely uncomfortable scene happens where she breaks his watch as she's crawling over. And then,
oh my God,
there's a whole scene about it. And like, she's upset. And he's like, don't worry about it. But he's clearly pissed and like mad at her. And it's not funny or cute or anything. It's just intensely uncomfortable.
This whole scene feels like you're out at a restaurant with friends and
there's a couple fighting.
And they're clearly like not doing good communication. They're being mean to each other and you are in a public place and people are staring at you.
It's not fun to watch. Also, it goes nowhere. I was like, thought the broken watch would be important or something, but it wasn't.
Nope. Yeah, this scene is immensely uncomfortable and doesn't accomplish anything.
Great. We won't see them for a while.
No, we have like 20 characters to introduce.
We haven't even gotten to all of them yet. Natasha and Grigory find brain tanks while they're running around and a glass Dalek that has a talking head inside of it.
I think it looks pretty cool.
It does. This was an idea they've had since the first Dalek serial. It was in the novelization for it, even the glass Dalek. You see him putting them inside the shell or whatever. So they finally got to realize it, and it looks pretty rad. But we see like a mutated, gross-looking head. He says, Natasha. Because it's Professor Stingos. It's Natasha's dad. He is really creepy because he's like talking to her, and he's basically like, kill me. But also he like slips into being a Dalek. He slips in and out of the Dalek voice. Mm-hmm. And he's like talking like normally to her about like, this is fucked up and you need to get out of here. And also like, Daleks will be supreme. And it's really creepy. And then she's like, what should I do? And he's like, kill me. And so she does. She shoots him with her laser and he blows up. And then they run out and are immediately caught by Takis and Lilt. Then we meet our final double act. Orsini, an assassin, and his smelly assistant, Bostock, who meet with Kara and Vogel.
These sure are some characters.
Why does he smell?
I don't know.
Kara tries to be polite about it, but is obviously very offended by his stench.
I can't imagine that stinking serves you well as an assassin.
Unless you're using it as a weapon.
If someone can smell you coming,
I agree.
feel like you've lost the element of surprise.
Unless you're like, what the hell is that? And then you hit him with a brick.
Those are your last words.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, she keeps talking about, like, how well-renowned they are and how, you know, well-recommended they are.
They're very, very good at that over-flattery thing.
And then, like, nearly everything Orsini says just sort of deflates him a little bit. They both of their hair is in ponytails. And he looks kind of cool. And it seems kind of cool, but I don't think he's cool. But she's like, have a seat. And he's like, I don't sit. And she's like, oh, right, you have to be constantly, ready to go and jump, take charge. And he's like, actually, I have an artificial leg, and if I sit down, it jams sometimes. So, yeah. And she's like, oh, well, okay. She's like, we get that fixed for you. And he's like, no, it keeps me humble.
Actually, what he says is it reminds him of his own mortality.
He says that twice. Like, he says it in a later scene, too. And it's like, we get it. Calm down. And then also he's like, killing is not a glamorous game, and I give all of my like profits to charity and help like needy children or some shit. I
definitely feel like I've met this guy at a con before. He had a katana.
We learned that Kara's business is making protein concentrate, but that business is being interfered with by Davros, who's constantly asking for money. So she's like, will you please kill him? And he's like, Davros, I've heard of him.
He sucks.
He's super. It'd be nice to kill somebody, bad, and like an honorable murder would be great. My
last gig was like an entire orphanage, and that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I have a whole.
I had to kill a whole bunch of younglings.
Honor code system, but like. I get hired to kill a bunch of orphans. I get hired to kill a bunch of orphans. It'll be nice, actually, to kill somebody who sucks.
And honestly, though, if you think about it, killing orphans isn't that bad because it's like they didn't have parents. So,
No!
Just taking them out of their misery a little bit, It's,
oh my God.
You gotta look at the positives, Look at the positives. But they didn't have parents. What kind of life is that?
Oh my God, Joseph!
It's okay. He kills them and then gives all of the profits to the charity. He gives all the profits to the orphanage in which he killed all the orphans. So they can rebuild.
He took all the money from killing the orphans and gave it to people with families.
No, see, he kills all these orphans. Then he gets profits, and then he gives them back to the orphanage so that the orphanage can go kill more parents so that they can get more orphans.
So they can get more orphans.
I'm pretty sure that's how orphanages work. They go around killing parents to keep their numbers up. That's a story. Anyway, he's like, yeah, I'll definitely kill Davros for you. He gets like a bomb. Well, he doesn't know it's a bomb. I'm sorry. He thinks it's a transmitter.
It basically has like a very specific code that you have to put into it that will send signal back.
Right. He'll kill Davros.
Yes.
And then he'll send a signal to them that it's cool to come in and kill the rest of the people. Like, he's just killing Davros. Davros is like a big bad, and if we get rid of him, it'll be easy enough to take over the rest of everything. So that's what they say. It's like all these fail-safes are built into it, which makes Bostock feel uncomfortable. He's like, this seems like you think we're going to fail. And then she's like, oh, you're being paranoid. And he's like, Orsini's like, yeah, but he's generally always right. The last time I didn't listen to him, I got this. And he goes, clank, clank, on his leg. He actually smacks it with his cane, and it makes a delightful noise. But then they talk him into it. It's like, yeah, we're just being safe. You're fine. And then they still agreed to do it. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Perry arrive at Tranquil Repose, which is the name of the place. Perry says it's a tacky name like you'd find in America. And the Doctor says America doesn't have a monopoly on bad taste.
And then she says, I know.
And then the Doctor says it's not like Stingos, the professor, to extend his life. So he's here to see if anything fishy is going on. So he's not just here to pay his respects. He's here to investigate a mystery.
Although Perry seems very upset by this. Like, why wouldn't you tell me?
Why wouldn't he tell her? It's a good question.
I mean, he gave a reason. I don't remember what it was.
He says he's just trying to see if anything fishy is going on, but he wants to come in here under the guise of paying respects because he wants to go in unnoticed. And then it cuts to Davros watching this on camera, and he just fucking cackles.
I respect this. I respect this scene a lot.
It's honestly hilarious. Then we get a whole scene of Joe Bell telling his staff, the president's coming here. He thinks his wife is, he's just like, treat her with respect and not like a body, because the president's coming here and we gotta put your best foot forward. Don't fuck this up. No drinking, no smoking of herbs. And then he's looks down at the end of the line, and there's a guy that is clearly picking his nose. And he's like, are you picking your nose? He's like, no. And he's like, well, I should hope not. So he's a real class actor guy here. And he's like, everybody go get in your fancy dresses and get ready. The president will be here soon. Tassenbeaker goes to work for Davros. Well, she goes talk to him, and he's like, you work for me now. She's like, oh, okay. Perry spots a Dalek. We'll see something go by. And she's like, what is that? And the doctor turns around and sees nothing. And they go to look for it, and they don't find it. But they do spot something else. We'll find out what that is after these 50 scenes. Grigory and Natasha are questioned by Takas and Lilt, and they kind of admit that the place is a bit of a sham. These people are probably actually dead, and actually some of them aren't even there. Like, do you think we have the space and resources for all this? No, that'd be ridiculous. So, struggles.
This is where Lit pours booze down
Grigory's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're trying to find out, like, who are you working with? Because it's not just the two. It can't be just the two of you. Tell us who your accomplices are.
I do like they're like, we know everything's shady here. That's not the point.
Point is, we got a good gig going. Then the DJ sees the doctor and I guess really sees his face for the first time. And he specifically says that he looks like one of the Walking Dead. Because he's specifically saying he looks like somebody who should be dead, I guess. To lead into this cliffhanger.
I thought he looked like somebody from The Walking Dead.
That did not exist at this point.
This episode's in the future.
Do we know that?
No.
As far as we know, it could be set in the 60s. Which is a thing. There's a lot of talk about Earth in this. But there's like no explanation given about how they know about Earth. Because the DJ's grandfather got stuff from Earth. And that's how he knows all about Earth stuff. We learned that in a later scene. And there's like, seems to be this thing where it's like, oh, it's just like Earth. And the doctor's like, yes. But that never goes anywhere.
That's why I kind of thought that maybe it was like the future. And these are like people from Earth, but not necessarily people who had ever lived on Earth. People who had like...
Oh, like one of those
ancestors
like,
on
things.
Earth. Yeah.
So the Doctor and Perry find a mural in the Garden of Fond Memories that looks exactly like the Sixth Doctor.
You said mural.
Yeah.
It is a giant stone statue.
Stone or styrofoam?
It does wave in the breeze.
The Doctor is freaked out by this because he's like, if it's here, it means I must be dead and I never regenerated. And Perry's like, why? Maybe it's a gag.
I think that he's very offended too at like the idea. Like he just says, gag? And she's like, yeah, prank. And he's like, prank? He's so offended at the very idea.
It's like, yeah, you have a lot of fucking enemies. Somebody could be fucking with you.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm dead. That is by far the most reasonable explanation.
Then she wanders off like, I can't deal with this right now, while he continues to just be like, oh, who knew it would be so disturbing to face my mortal end and all this bullshit. And then the mural fucking falls on him.
Again, it's not a mural.
It's a mural.
A mural is a painting.
Mural is just a depiction of someone, isn't it?
That is a portrait.
I'm looking at mural. Of, relating to, or resembling a wall, applied to and made integral with a wall or ceiling surface. I mean, it's okay. That's kind of a mural.
It's not on a wall. It's a freestanding.
It is a wall.
It's not. It's a statue.
I'm pretty sure the TARDIS wiki maybe refers to it as a mural. I could be wrong. Okay, maybe it doesn't. It says statue.
Because that's what it is.
It's a statue.
It's a granite statue with the Doctor's face on it.
They never say mural in the episode either.
No. You've just decided that it's a mural.
They call it a statue. It's a mural statue.
That's not a thing.
It is now. Okay, so like a mural is a painting you put on a wall. This statue is wall shaped.
No. It's a pillar.
It's not painted. It's just etched or carved. All right. This statue topples on the Doctor. This mural statue.
It's not a mural. Do all of your notes call it a mural?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, just really quickly before we move on, because we have to move on. What did you think a mural was?
That thing. I thought it just meant like a portrait of any art form, but large. Gotta be big.
just an oversized portrait.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, on a wall, but I thought it was like a freestanding wall. Anyway, this fucking Colin Baker face collapses on his ass. That's the end of episode 1. Eric Sayward did not want to write this. It was a requirement of J&T. He wanted a giant statue of Colin Baker in it for some reason. And so he's like, this. And to be fair, this makes no sense and is quickly resolved in the opening of the next episode. And the resolve doesn't. The opening scene in episode 2 is so fucking weird. Let's get into it. Episode 2, which I've called The Power of Rock and Roll. So Perry runs over screaming, and Joe Bell shows up and doesn't give a shit.
Not only doesn't give a shit, but proceeds to be the creepiest motherfucker ever. And why do we have to keep having this scene? Why do we have to keep watching gross guys tell Perry how pretty she is? I don't want to see it anymore. I'm done. I'm over it.
Nothing about this scene feels normal. It doesn't work under any logic I can apply to it.
This scene makes me feel like I need an adult.
It just seems so bizarrely written and acted and plot. It's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of the actors are acting with each other.
Because she's freaked out and he just is like, oh, why is someone so pretty? Freaked out. And she's like, this fucking fell on my friend. And he's like, well, you say goodbye to one friend and you say hello to another. The doctor pushes the stones off, and he's like, I'm actually fine. This was all just a show for me or whatever. I think he thinks that it's a sales pitch of some kind for this place. Joe Bell and the doctor start talking to each other almost in a way as if they have met before, but they have not. Like, this isn't their first conversation, but it is. Because he's like, says something about like, even if it was real stone, I don't think it would crush an ego as big as yours. And I was like, he said 2 fucking sentences to you. It's such a weird scene. And also, the doctor has got blood on his coat. And she's like, are you bleeding? And he's like, no, that's also part of it. Where from? Why?
What does that even mean?
Huh? I don't understand this. Though the last shot is a nice shot, even though it's a creepy thing, because they're leaving.
I will say, that might be a weird thing for Jobel to say.
Yeah.
Not inaccurate. Maybe he's just a great judge of character.
But they leave, and he's like, I'll see you later, my pretty, and blows her a kiss, and the camera pushes in on him while he does it, and it's a good shot. Creepy, but it's a good shot. And then that scene ends, and then the weirdness
God.
I don't understand. It's it feels like a comedy scene, but with no jokes, and also it doesn't fit the tone of anything else.
No.
I don't understand it at all. It weirded me out. Anyway, they go in, then Tossum Beaker comes up, and the doctor wants to plan his funeral. And then she's like, oh, sure, I'll show you all the options. Then we have the only scene that we see of this sexy computer.
Why is this computer so sexy?
I don't know. I had no idea what was happening in the scene. It turned out to be somewhat important.
Because you were just focused on how sexy this computer voice was?
Yeah.
It's just a voice, by the way. We said sexy computer. It's just that this...
The sexy computer voice.
It's 100% that's how it sounds.
Hey, big boy, would you like to know what's going on? Basically, Takis messes around with his computer, and it's like, the president is...
Joe, you were really good at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
The president will be here in 3 hours or some shit. The president is on his way. It's not 3 hours. That's way too long. But the computer says, president's on its way. But there's also an unexpected freighter that's nearby and headed this way, in case you want to know that. And Takis is like, yeah, that's cool. Never mind. Don't worry about it. And we won't find out what that is until the very end of the episode. And they will not mention it once.
You better make sure you were paying attention and got that information and remember it later.
You better not have gotten distracted
by the
sexy robot. And if you did, I can't blame you. I'm sorry if your boner stopped you from hearing this exposition. So Tossum Beaker is showing them the options and also shows them the DJ. And it's like, this is an upgrade that you can get for your internment, and it'll keep you up to date on news and shit. And we've got this fun guy. He does a voice. It's hilarious. You'll love it. And they play a video, and it's the DJ. He talks to the sleeping people, keeps them up to date. Can you imagine just being stuck, frozen, and this is the only fucking voice you hear? Hey, everybody! Guess what?
Please explain to me the pandemic in this voice.
everybody was really stupid. So a virus got out. We could take care of it in a week or two if we just all banded together, but guess what? It's over a year later. Nobody wore a fucking mask.
I do like this because, like, Perry basically hears this and is like, a fellow American. And it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And she, like, asks if she can go meet the DJ because it, like, reminds her of being home.
Yeah. I'm like, sure. We'll take you to the DJ at some point. Meanwhile, Orsini has come up, has a whole chat with his almost said Brostock. His Brostock. His name's Bostock. But it's his Brostock. Talks about swords and honor and how he's a Knight of Oberon. Everybody talks about how he's a Knight of Oberon, or used to be. He got kicked out, probably for killing all those orphans.
Do you know what this character feels like to me a lot?
The Man of La Mancha.
Yeah, the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian? I can see that. I think it is sort of the Man of La Mancha. Don Quixote. But yeah, I can see the Mandalorian. But the Mandalorian wears a helmet.
That's true. So they're very
it all
different.
Falls apart. But Dalek comes up and they blow it the fuck up with his old shitty gun. He's got an old shitty gun.
Do you know what makes this Dalek serial vastly superior to other Dalek serials?
A lack of Daleks.
Nailed it.
Yeah, they're barely in this. They're in this almost as much as the Doctor.
And it's great.
So this is a decent episode, and it doesn't have the Doctor or the Daleks in it very much. What does that mean? Because the assassin, Orsini, blew up this Dalek. Davros finds out about it and calls Kara and says, there are assassins here. He pretty much knows they sent him, but is trying to act like he doesn't know. And he's like, I'm sending some Dalek guards to protect you. And Vogel is even like, are you sure he is not aware that we did it? And she's like, no, it's fine. He knows those assassins are here for him. So the Doctor's like, I want to go see the Great Healer because I want to ask about this statue. And Perry wants to see the DJ. And then Jobel shows up and is like, I'll take you to see the DJ, you pretty young thing.
Do you know what upsets me so much about this scene?
Everything?
Yes, but also the Doctor's like, okay, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Perry pulls him aside and is like, I don't want to go with this motherfucker. He's fucking creepy.
This person does not make me feel safe.
And then he's like, you'll probably be safer with him than you would be with the Great Healer. And I also want to find out what's going on here. So just do it. And she's like, okay. And he leaves her to go off with this, I'm going to say it, probably a rapist.
I would not go to the bar with the Sixth Doctor.
No, he would abandon you. I can't believe he just leaves her with him. It's awful.
It is awful.
It's bad. Anyway, she goes off with Jobel. The Doctor goes off with Tassenbeaker to go to the Great Healer, and he bumps into a couple of Daleks. And he's like, what the fuck? And then Takis and Tilt knock him out and tie him up with Grigory and Natasha. We're
collecting our comedic pairs.
Do you know who doesn't have a pair? Well, I guess. Well, okay, the Doctor and Perry are a pair. Perry. They get split up, but Perry gets teamed up with the DJ. I was about to say the DJ doesn't really have he's not really a double act, but he is kind of with Perry. But for the most part, he's by himself. It's just him and the corpses. The thing is, like, why is this guy even here? Like, we later find out, I mean, we've already kind of been told, like, a lot of the dead people aren't even there. So who the fuck is he talking to? Why are they paying this guy? Anyway, Jobel drops Perry off at the DJ, but is not willingly does he drop her off. He's like, he talks about how her, like, ruby red lips are for kissing. And she's playing hard to get, or he likes when they play hard to get. And then she's like, well, then you're going to love me. And then shoves him and then locks herself in with the DJ. And he licks the glass and leaves.
Oh, God.
He doesn't, but he is very, very gross. And I'm glad he's gone. But she goes and talks to the DJ, and the DJ is very excited about her accent. And he's like, is that a real accent? And she's like, I hope so. It's not.
Which is great dialogue. Is that a real accent? I'm trying my best. I do really like this scene of them, like, bonding over, you know, because he does, the DJ's like, I listened to all this American stuff, and I listened to a lot of like American radio people, and that's who I'm trying to sound like. And she's like, oh, because it made me think of home when I heard it. And he's like, oh my gosh, that means so much. It's a very cute scene.
He's like, I'm glad somebody likes it. The great healer hates me. Meanwhile, back to the great healer, Davros. He tries to tell Tassenbeaker that Jobel's a dick. And, he is. This is the kind of thing the doctor should be doing. He's like, Tassenbeaker, Jobel's a dick. You should not love him. In fact, you should want to kill him. He's so gross and awful.
I don't know what to do with the fact that,
you're rooting for Davros here.
I would go to Davros to a bar.
And she's not so sure that she should kill him. But he's, showing her footage of, him betraying him and also, hitting on women and shit. Not just Perry, other people too. The doctor frees himself from his shackles while he talks to Natasha and Gregory and gets caught up on the fact that there's Davros and all that stuff. So he now knows that the great healer is Davros. He's probably kind of pieced it together when he saw the Daleks, but he's fully caught up. Meanwhile, Kara and Vogel link arms and drink to celebrate how successfully their scheme is going. That's really cute. As they're drinking, they notice that there are Daleks. And then the Dalek exterminates Vogel. And he takes forever to die.
It takes so long.
It's kind of good, though. Because he's, staring at, Kara, oh, no, I love you. And then dies. He doesn't say I love you. But that's, the look his face has. And then he slowly falls over. He specifically says on the documentary that that's what he was doing. He was trying to fall as slowly as he possibly could.
Why?
Because he wanted to have that moment of, everything slipping away from him sort of thing.
All right.
That's good. And then she, is sad and holds him in her... Okay, so there was a bit earlier when they were talking to Davros when she said something about good secretaries are hard to come by. When she's talking about how great Vogel is, and he's he says something like he would give up his bones to help Davros or whatever, and she's like, but we won't do that because good secretaries are hard to come by. So in this scene, when the Daleks exterminate him, she's holding him in her arms, and she very sadly says, how could you do this? You know how good secretaries are hard to come by.
She's still trying to keep up this over flattery act while she's clearly devastated.
Yeah, it's so good. Then Takis talks to Jobel about potentially doing something about Davros and the Daleks. They sort of have a little powwow. And that's when Jobel is like, we can't talk. There's people watching. And they're like, yeah, but we'll be very vague about it. But it's Davros overhears all of it. So he knows that they're plotting against him. And then he tells Tassenbeaker, look, they're plotting against me. So choose between him or me. And he's like, and I once offered Jobel immortality, and he did not take it. So I will give that to you if you'll kill him. And by that I mean, I will make you a Dalek. And then there's this very intense shot where she's like, well, that's an offer. And she turns around and a big Dalek eye stalk just shoves right into her face. That's an offer I can't refuse. Orsini and Bostock break in, are sneaking around, and Orsini starts to think that they're being set up. And he's like, I'm going to start planning some stuff in case we are being set up. So we need some scapegoats. We need a diversion. And so they decide to release some prisoners to distract from them, which is he goes into where Natasha, Gregory, and the doctor are. The doctor tries to attack Orsini, grabs his arm, and Orsini just casually hands his cane over to Bostock, then flips the doctor, and then takes his cane back. And then that's when the doctor's like, oh, he's a Knight of Oberon. I should have... Oh, God, why did I do that? I'm sorry. I know there's no way I could have taken you. You're a Knight of Oberon. You're great. You're wonderful.
This is such a self-insert character.
It is. And then they free Gregory and Natasha and is like, wait a little bit after we leave and then you can leave. And if you don't, we'll kill you. Gregory's like, okay. Because he's drunk. The doctor's like, why are you guys doing this? And they're like, we could tell you, but we won't. Bye! And so they all leave. So Tassenbeaker goes to Jobel and just tells him, Davros wants you dead, so you should do something about that. And he's like, you're being silly. I'm Jobel. Everybody loves Jobel. I'm a big important deal here. I'm the most important person here. Just continues to like neg her. At one point he says I would rather run away with my mother than own a fawning little creep like you.
This is so mean.
It is. Because he thinks this is all about her having a crush on him and not her legitimately trying to save his life. And then she's like, fuck you, you're fat and bald. And he's like, I'll have you know, my figure is the height of fashion. And then storms off. And then she takes this syringe that they were going to use on the body, I guess. And then she runs up to him. She's like, I hate you. And then stabs him. And it's very satisfying.
It is a bit.
And then he falls over dead. His head hits the ground and his wig falls off. It just flops open on the floor.
It's a pretty solid death scene.
It is. And then she runs off and cries and is like, why did I do that? How could I do that? I loved him. And then some Daleks show up and exterminate her. So maybe you wouldn't take Davros to a bar.
Yeah.
Because he'd just turn on you like that. The moral here is don't trust men. Perry and the DJ are sort of watching the doctor on monitors while rock music plays. The DJ is just like air drumming and air guitaring. And then she sees the doctor and she's like, can I talk to him? So he sets it up so that she can talk to the doctor. It's the first time I've ever seen a Doctor Who scene set to like a rock score. It's pretty cool.
It's not as cool as what happens later, but I'll wait.
He tells Perry to go to the TARDIS and warn the president that things are bad. And Perry tries to leave, but the DJ is like, no, don't go. That was on an open signal. People would have been listening in. They'll know what you're doing. You can't leave. He's like, I have a radio. You can use that to warn the president.
I like that, like, this character who really spends with the first serial just being these weird, bizarre inserts that don't make any sense.
Weird commentary, almost.
Yeah. Becomes, like, somebody who you root for. Becomes somebody who's, like, a friend and helping them out. Where you're like, oh, man, I like this guy.
Yeah, that's nice. He's fun. I like him. I feel it's been a while since maybe Doctor Who has been quite this goofy. And I like it when it's a little goofy.
I'm a fan.
I mean, this serial is also incredibly dark and fucked up, but it's also a little goofy.
Which is
a nice balance.
Yeah.
So Gregory and Natasha go to destroy the brain tanks, and a glass Dalek appears and exterminates them. So they're dead too. But then it explodes. I don't remember why it explodes, but it explodes. It flies too. It's a flying Dalek. You don't really see it very well, but it happened. It actually happens after the scene that I
thought it was Davros that...
Davros flies first, you're right. But then that glass Dalek also flies after Davros flies.
Okay.
But I skipped forward a little bit because I was trying to get through things a little faster. And in the process, made this take longer. So Orsini and Bostock storm Davros's area, his little room. They shoot his thing a lot, and then it explodes, the console thing that he's in. And his head just deflates like a balloon. And they're like, we did it! And Orsini's like, that was easy. Too easy. And it was too easy. Because that wasn't really Davros. Then we see the real Davros, who's in his, classic setup. He's in the little Dalek thing. He shoots Orsini's leg off, his artificial leg. Which, by the way, when he's just standing around there, I watched the making of and stuff. And there was like footage of the making of it or whatever. He just has his leg tied up behind him with like string.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I kind of just assumed they really hired a disabled person. My mistake.
But they shoot his leg off, and Bostock is shot by a Dalek in the arm. They're laying on the ground, and Davros flies in on his little Dalek cart and hovers in the worst fucking effect.
Yeah.
It looks so bad.
I think they just painted flames.
And, the perspective seems all off.
I think he's literally on the ground, and they just was like, what if we put, red stuff underneath of it, and it'll be like he is flying.
But it's also in front of Orsini, who should be in the foreground.
Yeah.
So it's like blocking Orsini, but Orsini should be in the foreground, but he's in the foreground and the background, and it looks weird.
That was the idea, right?
I think so. I don't know. It looks like garbage. It's a bad effect. And then he shoots Orsini with electricity as well, while he's just yelling and being Davros. They call the president. President's ship leaves, and the DJ begins to set up a device that utilizes a highly directional ultrasonic beam of rock and roll.
When we watched this, I lost my entire shit. And I don't think you heard what he said.
I didn't, no.
Did you not hear because I was in the process of losing my shit?
I think I was taking down notes and missed it.
It's so goddamn amazing. This is what I watched this show for. Then he shoots bullshit like this.
And she's like, what? And he shoots a wall with it and he goes, it kills.
It's just like it's like a ray gun effect, but when he turns it on,
it's like a big yellow gun, right? You know what it reminded me of? There was this arcade game I used to play where you had it was a shooter game, but you were like in a, I don't know, like a auditorium or something, and you shot, it was an Aerosmith game, and you shot records like bullets. That's what it reminded me of.
You hear like a rock song. What did they do to it to make it? Yes. Didn't you say that was maybe not the original?
No, I think it was the scene where Perry's talking to the doctor and there's that generic rock music playing underneath it. I think there was a song underneath it. I don't remember who it was. I want to say Pink Floyd or something. But that might be me thinking about the Hitchhiker's Guide radio series, which had a similar problem. But yeah, it was like some piece of music that they didn't have the rights for when they released it on other things. But yeah. He kills a few Daleks with it. They explode, and he's like, yeah. And then he stands up for some reason to celebrate. They were like ducked down behind some things. And he stands up, and he's like, yeah, yeah. And then the Dalek comes in and exterminates him.
Sad.
Really, it's his fault. Why did he do that?
One time when I was learning how to, water ski, I was having a really hard time and I could not figure out how to get up. And I finally did, and I got so excited that I let go of the rope to clap my hands, and I fell back into the water.
And then a Dalek exterminated you.
I imagine it was like that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But still, bad move. He's dead now. So far we've lost Natasha, Gregory, and the DJ, and Professor Stingos, and Joe Bell, and Tassim Becker. Beaker.
Yep.
It's a lot of dead people.
We're trying to cull it down to a reasonable number of characters.
Oh, and Vogel. Vogel's dead too. Jeez. High death count. So Kara is brought to Davros and confronted about the transmitter. And she's like, it's just a transmitter. It's nothing. And then Orsini starts typing in the code that she gave him earlier. And she's like, all right, stop. Fine. It's a bomb. It'll blow everybody up. Are you happy? And then Orsini goes, no, and pulls out like a knife and stabs her with it very quickly. So that's another check mark in the death column. After the doctor hears the DJ die on the radio, by the way, like you hear Perry going, oh no, they killed him, like over the speakers. He runs into a couple of Daleks and he's like, they went that way. And it does not work. They catch him and they bring him to Davros. Davros does evil talking at the doctor while Orsini is just like giving the doctor winks and nudges. Like, hey, I'll take care of this. Wink, wink.
You want me to kill this guy?
I got this thing. Wink, wink. And he's hiding stuff and moving stuff, all while the doctor's like, yeah. And the Davros is just completely distracted, being like, I'm evil and the best. He talks about how he's cured these people. These people came in with diseases, and he's cured them by turning them into Daleks, giving them immortality. And the doctor's like, well, you didn't turn all of them into Daleks because you wouldn't think all of them were deserving to be Daleks. So what did you do with the rest of them? And he's like, well, there was a famine too, so I made some protein, baby.
Solve that problem, you're welcome.
Oh no, protein is people! Which is funny, like when I was rewatching it and Kara's talking about how she makes the protein concentrate to Orsini and Bostock. Bostock's like, yeah, but it tastes terrible. Now we know why. It's people.
For people actually taste great.
Wait, did you say actually people taste great, or you've heard?
It's a thing that I've heard.
Oh, okay. Not something you know from experience. I bet it just, the taste of people varies from person to person.
I bet I taste amazing. Not to brag, but I bet I'd make a mean burger.
I could make a really bad joke, but I'm not gonna. Where were we at? So, remember that other ship from earlier?
Which one?
The freighter that the sexy computer talked about. It's like, don't know who this is.
Do you remember the sexy computer? Yes.
That ship lands, and Takis and Lilt go to greet the people on the, well, not people, it's Daleks. They're Daleks. They're other Daleks, the main Daleks. These Daleks we've been seeing are just Davros' Daleks. There's names for them. I don't know. Like, people get weirdly obsessed with, like, oh, it's the Renegade Daleks and that other Dalek. They're all just Daleks to me. I can't keep track of all that. But to distinguish them, Davros' Daleks are white, and these Daleks are black. Basically, Takis and Lilt have been planning this revolt against Davros, and they're going to do that by bringing in these other Daleks. Fight Daleks with Daleks, baby!
What a brilliant idea. I do not see this backfiring in any way.
So Davros has been using these dead people to build his Dalek army, and he's about to activate them, and he's reaching his hand out, and Bostock, who is not dead, he's just been shot in the arm, tries as hard as he can, and he shoots Davros' hand off.
It explodes.
Blows it off. And it's green and gross. Bostock gets exterminated. There's a brief scuffle that goes nowhere. Like, the doctor tries to leave, and Davros catches him. He's like, what did you think you were going to do? The doctor says, no harm in trying.
I don't think I heard that.
I read it on the wiki, and I also read it in the transcript, and I listened to it again, and I think he's just saying harm, and people are trying to make it a pun. Because that is the kind of thing the Sixth Doctor would do. It actually said that Colin Baker improvised it, but it sounds like he's saying no harm in trying. But I want to live in a world where he said no harm.
I guess we all just decided that that's what we want.
Listen to it yourself and let us know.
No harm in trying.
The newly arrived Daleks exterminate some of Davros' Daleks, and then Orsini tries, while Davros is distracted, Orsini tries to shoot him, but Davros shoots a head beam at him and makes him throw the gun away. None of these plans are working. But the Daleks come in for Davros, and Takis and Lilt are like, things are going to be great now, because we got rid of the Daleks and got rid of Davros. And the doctor's like, it's probably not going to be that great. All your food is people. This place has a terrible reputation. And also the Daleks are like, we're just going to reprogram these other Daleks to be our Daleks. We're going to take Davros here away and, do whatever we're going to do with him. Davros is like, don't take me, take the doctor. And the doctor's like, who?
This scene is great. I do enjoy this scene a lot.
The Daleks are like, this is not the doctor. He doesn't look like the doctor. And Davros is like, are you fucking kidding me? He regenerated. He does that all the time.
This is literally the 6th time.
And they're like, well, we'll look into that later. We're going to take you for now. The
fact that it's that easy.
Right? Just, oh yeah, it's not me. Affirmative. Davros tells the doctor, I'll get you one day. The doctor says he'll be waiting. And then offers a handshake. And then takes it back when he realizes Davros does not have a hand. Does he not have a hand from here on out? I imagine he can make a new one.
I mean, he's also been dead multiple times, so...
Yeah, that's true. Davros is taken away, and everyone begins to quickly make plans to stop the activation of Davros' Daleks, because the Daleks are going to activate them and then reprogram them. So, they blow up their Dalek guard. Doctor just shoots him with a gun, and then Perry puts a grenade on it and it explodes.
No need to complicate things here.
And then they make a plan to blow up the rest. Takis and Lilt object, as it is a place for the dead, but that's when the doctor says that the dead are being used as food, so maybe you should consider switching to a soy-based diet. You got all these plants, and they're like, what? Like, these plants, you can make them into protein. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Thanks for solving that in the last 5 minutes of this episode. And then Orsini offers to do a sacrifice, because he doesn't have a leg, and he doesn't have his Bostock. He's like cradling Bostock.
He rubs his head so much, and at first it seems like affectionate. And then like the 4th time he does it, it's like aggressive.
Yeah, it's like, it's like giving him a noogie almost.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll activate the bomb, the transmitter bomb. You all get away. The doctor's like, is there anything I can do? And he gives him like a medal. And he's like, return this to Knights of Oberon and tell them what I did here and tell them how Bostock was really cool. And the doctor's like, I will. And then promptly throws it into a closet in the TARDIS somewhere.
Absolutely.
Everyone runs out. Orsini lays down on the ground and cradles Bostock even more, rubbing his head as he presses the button, blows everything up. But Davros and the Daleks do get away. But the rest of the Daleks...
There aren't any new Daleks, so...
Yeah. There's a scene where Takis and Lilt are like, what are we going to do? Become farmers? Okay. And Takis is like, I love these plants, as it's been firmly established. And then Perry's like, where to now? And he's like, let's go somewhere very tranquil and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, that sounds boring. Let's go somewhere fun.
Okay, the way that this conversation goes down, Perry's literally like, why don't we ever go anywhere like nice and calm? And the doctor's like, I could take you somewhere nice and calm. And she's like, no, that's boring. I want to go somewhere fun.
And he's like, oh, I know. We'll go to... And then it stops. It freeze frames, which...
is a choice.
It seemed like it was on purpose, but it was actually because they had filmed a line. He says Blackpool because they were going to film the next season, and that's what the next serial was going to be about. But that whole season got dropped because they went on an indefinite hiatus.
Why cut it, though? Why not just be like, they had an adventure in Blackpool that we did not see?
I don't know why they make any of the decisions they make. So they decided to just freeze frame it before he finishes his thing. Because this went on a hiatus. Like, there have been long hiatuses before. But this is, I think, the longest hiatus.
And it was unclear if it was coming back, right?
Right. Like, they were uncertain if it was going to be canceled or not. It didn't get canceled. It just got pushed back very far. And then I think it does eventually get canceled, obviously. But during this period of time... was when there was worry that the show was going to be canceled.
Is this when we get Doctor in Distress?
Yes, this is when we get Doctor in Distress. They made
fantastic
a charity song basically telling the history of Doctor Who and also like, hey, don't cancel us. And they got celebrities in quotation marks. I don't know anybody in it except for Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, Anthony Ainley, and Nicholas Courtney. Sixth Doctor, Perry, the Master, and the Brig. Those are the only people I know from... the song. But we watched the music video. Honestly, I think the song it sucks, but like the music is good.
It's fine.
It's very electronic. Apparently Hans fucking Zimmer did some of the music. Like, I don't know if he like wrote it, but like he performed it, which is crazy because Hans Zimmer is like I know you don't know who he is.
Nope.
But he's like a very popular film composer. He's done a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies. He did Inception, so he did the Bwam! He's the inventor of the bomb.
Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate, but it was good in that movie. It was just that everybody used it a lot. 18 months is too long to wait. Bring back the doctor, don't hesitate. It was a cold, wet night in November, 22 years ago. There was a police box in a junkyard. We didn't know where it would go. An old man took two teachers into time and space. It started off a legend that no other could replace. Doctor in distress. Let's all answer his SOS. Doctor in distress. Bring him back now. We won't take less. There were evil metal creatures who tried to exterminate. Inside each of their casings was a bubbling lump of hate.
Like that.
We met cybernetic humans with no feelings at all. Warriors of the ice who stood over 7 feet tall. Bring him back now, we won't take less. If we stop his travels, he'll be in a mess. The galaxy will fall to evil once more, with nightmarish monsters fighting a war. We've learned to accept 6 doctors, with companions at their side. When they were faced with danger, they didn't run and hide. There was a brigadier and a master, and a canine computer. Each screaming girl just hoped that a Yeti wouldn't shoot her.
Wait, what?
Each screaming girl just hoped that a Yeti wouldn't shoot her.
Okay.
Doctor in distress. Let's all answer his SOS. Doctor in distress. Bring it back now. We won't take less. So there you go.
The Yeti never even...
Yeah, is that... They're correct. I am just on like some random websites. That may not be correct, but like, yeah, I don't think the Yetis had guns, did they? No, it says that a Yeti wouldn't shoot her. Yeah, I don't know. There's 2 singers from Moody Blues, a drummer from The Jam. I don't know any of these people. Like, I'm on the TARDIS wiki, and none of them have clickable names, so that tells you how, like, nobody knows who the fuck they are. I think they were, like, most of them were from the record label. So they're like, I don't know, maybe this will get them noticed. So that was Doctor in Distress. It worked. It brought the show back. No, it was so bad. It was made to raise money. They released a single. The BBC refused to air it on the radio because of how bad it was. And everybody involved pretty much was like, that was a bad idea, huh? Maybe the worst thing we ever did. We did fucking Time Lash. So I was going to say that's the end of the Revelation of the Daleks, but that we talked about that ages ago. It's the end of the Revelation of the Daleks and the end of Doctor in Distress. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back for final thoughts about Revelation of the Daleks. I don't know if we're going to talk about Doctor in Distress. Maybe if Toni wants to. We'll see. Break!
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Hello everyone, Dr. Geek here with a shout out to all the scientists who worked tirelessly to bring a COVID-19 vaccine into reality. Let's face it, creating something of this magnitude is a miracle worthy of Dr. McCoy himself. And now, Dr. Geek needs you to do your part. Remember, each shot is one small step back to normal, one giant leap to putting the pandemic behind us. We can do this. For more information, visit vaccines.gov to find your nearest provider.
More positive than a New Day pancake. More fun than a super kick party. It's the wrestling podcast from the host, who is the hammer swinging, burrito eating, well, you know the rest, of Thunder Talk. Sexy Thor! It's the Ring of Thunder, found in the Thunderverse and among the great podcasts of the ESO network.
And we're back. Toni, do you know what time it is?
It's time to wrap up this podcast and go give me some Takis.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Final thoughts.
Toni, what are your final thoughts?
I don't know if it's just because we're coming off one of the worst runs of the show in a while, but the serial's pretty good. I mean, it has the benefit of it's doing a lot of weird shit, so I'm a big fan of that. A lot happens in this serial. Like, it has a lot of ideas at once, but like the most important thing about it is that it's trying to have fun. Occasionally we go through eras of Doctor Who where the people in charge have decided that fun is not allowed. It's not dignified to have fun, and we have to be very serious and talk about very serious things. And so when you get a serial that's like, anyway, here's this weird DJ, don't worry about it. Like, we're not even going to explain it to you. We're just going to keep showing it to you. Like, it's at least got that going for it. There's some weird, shitty things going on in it. I say weird, like, stuff from this era, especially in, like, British TV, isn't always weirdly fatphobic, but there's the weird fat phobia. There's the just uncomfortable scenes between the Doctor and Perry. So uncomfortable.
Joe Bell and Perry as well.
Yeah.
Super uncomfortable.
I like how underutilized the Daleks are in this serial. This is probably like a, I don't know, controversial opinion. I don't love the Daleks. They look cool. They're a cool idea. But 90% of the time where it's like a Dalek episode, I don't care.
Really, Davros was like a great invention because you don't have to listen to Dalek spout exposition.
And yeah, somehow like having them be there but like not super important to like the plot or anything like really works for me. And I will say that there was something that Christine said because she was on the watch-along on this one, and she was like, every single person in this serial is so pathetic. And they all have their own stakes, and they're so incredibly low. Like, even, especially for a serial with the Daleks, right? This isn't like a story with the Daleks where the Daleks are trying to conquer a world. Davros is trying to establish his own deal, like, out in the middle of nowhere, on, like, a backwards-ass planet. Even, like, when the real Daleks show up, they don't care about the Doctor being there. They're just like, oh, yeah, we're shutting this Davros thing down, and then we're gonna go back to, like, our real big stakes, take over some planets plans. All of these little comedy duos that we have all are in like their own little world, and they're trying to be...
And they think they're the most important thing.
They think they're the most important thing, yes. You know, and they think they're the most important and the smartest. And really, they're all like equally kind of depressing to watch. Which is, I mean, like, results in a lot of really good comedy. Yeah, this is one of those ones where, like, we complain about it a whole bunch, and then we get to the end, and we're like, that's pretty good. And the reason why is because, like I said...
I don't even feel like we complained about it too much.
The reasons why I feel like is because we, like I said, just came off of, like, a string of some of the worst Doctor Who serials I've ever seen. And also, I feel like it's been a long time since anyone even tried to have fun.
This successfully as well.
Yeah, there are some times where you're watching... where you're like, I think that was supposed to be a joke, but it didn't land.
This, for the most part, lands. I
Yeah.
feel like. Yeah, I agree. I liked this one a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's dark and weird and funny and fucked up. There's some stuff that I don't like. I don't like all the shit they continually keep doing with Perry. Not like I don't like Perry. I don't like the stuff they do.
They
to
continue to make like the most awkward fucking choices with her.
I mean, and to be fair, I don't super care for Perry either. I don't think she's the best actress in the world. So it's like a double. This sucks. I don't like that one weird scene. That one weird scene that is tonally just different. That is, I think, is solely there just because he's like, I gotta put this fucking statue in it.
Do you think it's that awkward on purpose? Where he's like, I don't want to write this and I gotta write this, and
I think he's like, I'll just write it and they'll make me cut it, or
I'll just write it as stilted and weird as possible so they won't use it. And then they did, and he was like, shit.
I still don't understand why he had blood on him or where it came from. Doctor, you're covered in blood. It's not mine. Like the statue in this grotesque, it's all part of an elaborate theatrical effect. For what reason? I don't know.
I think the doctor was really bleeding. And he just didn't want to freak Perry out.
So, like, the doctor pushes the thing off himself, and she's like, you're all right, doctor. And the doctor's like, is he touting for business? And Joe Bell says, me? Tout for business? I'll have you know that people come from all over the galaxy for my services. Mind you, you're the first live client that I wouldn't mind tackling. Like, where did this aggression come from? He literally said, hi to you. And then the doctor says, he does go on, doesn't he?
I think they're just
so weird.
Similar people, and they recognize it immediately. You know when somebody has, like, a trait of yours that you hate, and you're like, this motherfucker.
That sounds right. But yeah, all in all, I liked it. I thought it was fun. There's so much going on in this, but it manages to juggle it all pretty well. Like, there's definitely it's a little bit hard to track at the beginning, but once all the pieces are sort of in place, it's not hard to follow, which is surprising considering there's a
lot of pieces.
30 fucking characters. But, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. That was good. Before we go, is there anything we need to plug?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and plug the Unseen World again. You can watch it on demand at It's Real Good TV. We've got 2 seasons. They're all really good. I think the one that's going to air, will have aired this week is Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And then I think Mothman is after that. So, and you can watch
all of them.
Yeah, all of them. The full 2 seasons whenever you feel like it on It's Real Good TV.
And you feel like it right now. Well, you can finish listening to this episode and then go watch it. That's fine.
Follow me on Twitter at FWDPWR.
Follow me on Twitter at Minty Pineapple. I just want to give another shout out to, I'm writing articles for The Dip, DIPP. You can get those at thedip.com. I'm watching every comic book adaptation ever made. So far, I've watched through 1944. There's been 3 or 4 articles up, so go check those out. It's the Comic Completist. I've watched Captain Marvel and Batman and Captain America and all those great murderous superheroes you all love and enjoy. So go check those out. And if you liked this episode of the podcast, check out more on watch-a-thon.com. You can also find our podcast, our Patreon, our Amazon wish list, and more at Linktree/Watch-A-Thon. That's linktr.ee, Linktree/Watch-A-Thon.
We have a Linktree? How fancy.
I know, we're so fancy. And special thanks again to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden!
Check him out at MatthewGolden.net. I also want to give a special shout out to Vincent E.L. for providing us with our amazing theme song.
Thank you, Vince.
Check out more of their music at soundcloud.com/VincentEL or vincentel.bandcamp.com. And tune in next time when we talk about The Trial of a Time Lord.
I've heard that's great.
Part 1! The Mysterious Planet. The whole season is a thing.
Yes.
And it's broken up into 4 serials, which means we only have 4 serials left of the 6th Doctor.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just flying right through this guy.
I'm kind of excited because I think I'm going to like 7 a lot.
I think so too.
I know I'm going to like Ace.
I know like almost nothing about Ace, but I know I'm going to like her.
Same.
And we will have a returning guest with us, 6th Doctor fan, our Alan Seiler will be joining us.
Yay!
I will
I'll
say
have to apologize for all of my opinions, probably.
I don't know. I've heard the season's good, so maybe we'll enjoy it. I will say there may be a bit of a delay. We may have to take another little bit of a hiatus. It depends because we're going on a wedding. Going on a wedding? Going to a wedding.
Yes.
So just a little heads up that it may be delayed a week or two. We'll see. I'll try to get it out on time, but no promises. It's a little harder when we got a schedule with guests and stuff. But until next time, keep calm and Rassilon.
Goodbye, and I love you in a platonic, parasocial way.
This is a highly directional, ultrasonic beam of rock and roll. It kills.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.